That's something school doesn't teach you. No one's going to teach you. No one's going to tell you what to do or how to do it. Hi, welcome back to our channel. My name is Victoria. I'm Lucy, and today we're going to be talking about credit score, how to build one, and why it's very important to have one. Having no credit is just as bad as having bad credit. So that's something you should consider as we move forward into the video. So think of a credit score as your financial score. It's how you really deal with your money, how people see you deal with your money. It's a score that you have kind of like a score you have in school, but now it's your finance and pretty much your whole future. So that's why it's very important. Another reason why it's very important is that it's a way for lenders to see how creditworthy you are. So like if you're someone who is constantly paying off your bills or constantly paying your credit card bills off, you have no issues, it's easier for a lender to see you as someone who is safe, considered creditworthy, and so you usually will get a better score for your mortgages, or you will get better rates from them. And so that definitely is important, just because in the future you might be considering buying a house and you might need to get a lender to give you some money to buy the house. And it could be also important for when you're purchasing a car and you need a loan on the car. And so that's why it's kind of important to start from the beginning, build that good credit score, so that in the future you set yourself up for success. If there's one score you should care about, even if it wasn't a score at school, it should definitely be your credit score. So the real question is, how do you build credit with no credit history? Now we want to kind of talk about our journey into getting our first credit card. Building a credit score and getting a credit card is kind of like a double-edged sword, in that you can't build a credit score without a credit card, but you can't get a credit card without a credit score. It's like, how are you going to do this? We'll both talk about how we got our own first credit cards. My credit journey began when I was 17 years old, when I first went to college, and I really cared about getting a credit card because I knew that in the future I'm going to need it. I'm going to need it to borrow money, I'm going to need it to buy a home, and I thought the earlier I could start, the better it would be for me. And if there's one thing that I could, besides my undergraduate education, for myself, benefiting myself in the future, is actually building out my credit score. And that's something school doesn't teach you. No one's going to teach you. No one's going to tell you what to do or how to do it. So I went on this journey to figure out how I can do it for myself. At age 17, I looked up a lot of different resources, and I didn't really know what to do because no one really tells you, okay, at 17, how do you get a credit card? And I applied for a lot of student credit cards, like the Discover a Student, and I got rejected. What a surprise, right? I got rejected because I didn't have a credit score, which goes back to the double-edged sword problem here. And so I applied for many different cards, got rejected for all of them.
You had a job too, right?
I did have a job since I was 16, and even though I had a job, that's
so
still
hard.
not enough. So it doesn't matter if you have a part-time job or a full-time job, that's just not enough for you to get a credit card. So then I looked into different other options because I was tired of getting rejected, and I looked into secure credit cards. And then that's when I first decided that I would do a secure credit card, which to me is like a fake credit card. Okay, it's really not a credit card, but it was the first steps in taking for me to build out my credit. It wasn't hard to get approved for that. So I got a secure card, and then within a year I was really efficient in my payments, making sure I kept my debt to income ratio very low. And due to that, within a year or two, I was able to get better credit cards, Discover a Student, and I also got the Bank of America Travel Rewards card. From there, I kept doing the same routines of, being consistent with my payments, to the point where 3 years after that, I was able to qualify immediately for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And I think I could have also qualified a little bit earlier for that as well, with a $25,000 limit, even before I graduated college. I honestly won't be spending $25K a month, but I definitely have to be really responsible with my money so I don't hit that point, because it's so easy when you have a credit card with that limit.
And credit card companies do this on purpose. They want to make sure that you have enough money so that you can spend as much as you want. So that's why it's so important for you to be super responsible with it. So let's imagine you spending all $25,000 in that 1 month, and you don't have that much money in your savings account. That's going to be a big problem, because interest rates on those are going to be really high. So it's going to be really bad for your, not only your credit history, but also it's going to hurt you because you're not going to be able to pay it off. Definitely, like, responsibility is such a big, important part of having good credit score. Yeah, so I guess like with my journey, it's very similar. So I do remember you telling me that I needed to get a credit card, and I was very confused at the time because I was like, what do you mean? Like, what is that? I mean, although I was a business major, you would think that I would know what a credit card means, credit score and everything. I myself also had to do some more research to figure out what that means and why is it important. I do remember you really pushing to try to get a credit card, and I was super confused the whole time, but I was like, okay, if you're gonna do it, then I should probably do it too, and why would she tell me something that wouldn't benefit me in the long run? She got her first, I remember, secure credit card. I waited a little bit just because, I don't know, I was lazy, procrastinating, you know, there's a bunch of stuff as a college student. But I did have a debit card with my school's bank, or the bank that was on campus, Capital One. And at the time, I also have a part-time job. I was working at a retail store, and I also had a few on-campus jobs. So I was obviously making money. Also, we both worked in high school the year prior. So we both had, like, you know, working experience. But the income, like you said, is hard to justify having credit when you don't have no credit. So most of the time, it's hard to get approved. I do remember going in person into the bank itself. And I know this is like way back in the day. Who goes in person anymore? But I went in person and I was talking to the person. I was like, oh, I'm interested in opening like a student type of credit card. And I so happened was super lucky to get approved for the Capital One Journey one, which is like a student credit card. I think it was because, you know, maybe I met in person. Maybe I spoke to the bank teller about my situation and that I was actually making money. He can see like incoming money from my debit card. It was with kind of like my school. I don't know if that made it easier because I know like a lot of students are on campus. They obviously need a bank account and maybe some of them want to open a credit card eventually. And so I was pretty lucky in my freshman year able to get approved for Capital One Journey's credit card. My limit was very low. Like, I can't remember how much it was.
I think mine was $500.
Yeah, I think it was like $250 or $500, very low. But to me, $500 at the time was a lot of money. Like, it was a lot of money to be able to spend on so much stuff. I remember having to be very responsible for it. Even trying to figure out the payment system, like, that was very confusing to me. The idea that you technically don't need the money at first to be able to purchase something, but then you pay for it a month later. So I was like, wait, that's so confusing to me. It's like, how can you not have the money to pay for it, but you still also get to spend it? I think like getting to understand that concept was really new to me, but it was very exciting. And like you also did the same thing where I was very consistent with my payments, making sure that I didn't spend more than I had.
It's a really long journey, as you can see from both our experiences. And to us, a credit score is not just a one-time done deal, not similar to a class where you just get a grade at the end of the quarter. Your credit score is kind of a journey of your finances throughout your life. It really takes a long history of being consistent to be able to get to the best credit score. It doesn't happen overnight. It took us almost 5 years to get to a premium credit card and to build out a decent credit score. How you build a really good credit score is based on how consistent you are at your payments, making sure your debt to income is very low, making sure you're making timely payments. These are all the things that are valuable once you get a credit score. But the most important part is to get started. And a lot of people don't know how to get started. We want to share from our own experiences on how you can get started building your credit score. So the 3 ways that we think are really important and ways that we've also experienced ourselves is, the first way for myself is securing a secure card. And a secure card is pretty much a debit card that acts like a credit card. It does seem like it's not a big, huge deal getting a secure card, but it does kickstart your credit journey. And the second way to build that credit score is to go with a partnership with your school. So if your school has a branch of a bank on campus, usually they're a little more lenient in helping you get a credit card. And especially if you have that debit card with that company or with that bank already and you have income coming in, then they'll see that you're potentially credit worthy and they'll give you a credit card but with a very low limit so you can get started. And so that's also a great way to kick off your credit score. And then the last way what we think you can do is, if you have family members like your parents who are credit worthy and they have a great credit history, they could potentially add you on as an authorized user of their credit card. And by doing that, they're also helping you start your credit journey. But we didn't go that route. A lot of people do choose that as an option, and it's a great option to just start your credit score journey. Building a credit score is such an important part of your financial future. It's so important for you to be able to kickstart that journey as soon as possible. So being in college is a great way, especially if you have a job and you have the income to cover those expenses. Paying off a credit card is so much better than paying with a debit card, because with a debit card you don't get the benefit of creating that credit score. But it's also a journey. It may not seem like you're doing much by paying it off every month. It may not seem like it's doing anything for you in that time or in that moment,
but in the future, in the long run, it's going to benefit you because you're building that consistency and you're having that responsibility to pay off your debt. To wrap things up, building a credit score history is so important for your financial future. It's a great way for you to start as soon as possible if you are able to, and really show lenders that you're able to pay off any expenses you have. It's better to start now than to start later because you don't have too much financial obligations. And a part of that credit score is seeing how long you've had good credit for. So to be able to build a good credit score, having that length of credit is so important. So when it does come to a time where you're going to be needing to borrow money for a home or for a car, they want to see how long you've been able to build a good credit score. Starting your financial journey early is the best thing you can do for yourself. So we hope you liked that video about how to build your credit score early, our journey into building our own credit score, and what you can do now to get started. And if you have any more questions about credit scores or anything else for us, please leave it in the comment below. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to hear more from us.